Hi, glad to see you on your channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's important to us. Have a good view. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea is constantly delighting the world community with various novelties in the field of armaments. One of the first models created within the framework of self-reliance, which is the basis of the state ideology of Juche, was the M1978 long-range self-propelled artillery, also known as the Koksan. The development of self-propelled artillery in the Korean People's Army, KPA, has a long history. During the Korean War, the KPA used approximately 300 Su-76 self-propelled artillery vehicles, and by July 1953, only 127 of them remained in service. After the war, the KPA received a small number of IMS-122s from China. Su-100s also appeared, by some estimates, about 100. And at the end of the 60s, the Koreans started their own development. At first, they, as they call it, molded self-propelled vehicles from what they had. Thus, a number of UAS appeared, using the chassis of the ATS-59 Caterpillar tractor and various versions of 130mm and 152mm guns. Western observers distinguish almost a dozen modifications of such SAU, and we will not deal with all their diversity in this material. Let us turn to another artillery system, which is better known and well studied. Reaching Seoul. The specifics of the military strategic position of the Republic of Korea is the location of its capital. Seoul is separated from the demilitarized zone of the actual border with the DPRK by only 50 kilometers. Therefore, sooner or later an idea had to arise among the DPRK leadership. How about building a cannon capable of reaching the enemy capital? The DPRK started to realize this idea in practice in the early 70s. The result of the efforts of North Korean engineers was a self-propelled cannon of 170mm caliber. The origin of such an unusual caliber is not clear. There is a version in Western publications that this gun was based on the German 17cm Kanone 18 in Mörserlefett. The Soviet Union allegedly gave the North Koreans several such trophy guns with a stock of shells. However, no material or documentary confirmation of this version has been found yet. A more probable version is that the artillery part of the North Korean gun was based on the Japanese 15cm 149mm Type 96 siege gun. This gun, with a barrel length of almost 53 caliber, had a range of 26.3 kilometers. The Japanese made only 30 of these guns, which were used in 1942 during the siege of Corregidor in the Philippines, and later used in coastal defense and fortified areas of Manchuria. A number of Type 96 guns went to the DPRK, among those defending the ports of Racine and Wonsan. The result of North Korean efforts is a 170mm caliber gun with a 50-gauge, more than 8-meter barrel equipped with a slotted muzzle brake. The gun has separate loading, and its practical rate of fire is estimated at 2 rounds within 5 minutes. The range of the gun is 43 kilometers with a conventional fragmentation projectile, and 60 kilometers with an active jet projectile. Combat vehicle. Initially, the new long-range gun was designed as a self-propelled weapon. In the towed version, it would have been too bulky and immobile. For the SAU, a tank-type chassis was used, taken from the Soviet medium tank T-5455 or its Chinese clone, Type 59. The gun is mounted openly, and the mounting method is quite curious. On the roof of the chassis, there are rails on which the artillery part can move. In marching position, it is located in the center of the vehicle, thus ensuring a more or less even distribution of weight over the support rollers. In firing position, the gun is moved aft. This facilitates loading from the ground, and most importantly, the bulk of the recoil energy is transferred to the ground rather than to the hull by means of 2 hydraulically lowered coulters. The first variant of the 170mm SAU is known under the designation M1978. Like all other designations of North Korean military equipment, this designation is conventional and does not mean the year of adoption, but the year when the self-propelled vehicle first came to the attention of Western experts. The names Koksan, a town halfway between Pyongyang and the demilitarized zone where the UAS was first spotted, and Juchepo, Juchegun, are also conditional. The actual designation of the UAS, however, is unknown. It is believed that production of the M1978 began around 1973. It was first publicly demonstrated at a parade in 1987. In its first version, the Koksan was a typical self-propelled carriage, not a full-fledged SAU. The ammunition was transported by additional vehicles. No special ammunition transporters were created. Shells were delivered by ordinary trucks, mainly Sungri 58 and Sungri 61, North Korean clones of Gaz 51 and Gaz 63. The SAU crew consists of 8 men, a driver-mechanic, commander, gunner, and 5 loaders. Only the mechanic, driver, and the commander are stationed on the self-propelled vehicle in the marching position, while the others are transported on accompanying vehicles. In 1989, an improved version of the Koksan was seen, which received the logical designation M1989. It is characterized by a radically redesigned hull, reminiscent of the hull of the Soviet 2S7 Pion self-propelled gun, with a large front overhang and forward cabin. The increased volume of the hull made it possible to accommodate not 2, but 4 soldiers of the crew, as well as to organize a compartment for transportation of 12 shells with charges. In addition, the SAU carries man pads. The number of Koksan SAU produced is unknown. Western analysts estimate it at about 500,000 copies. The structure of the units armed with these self-propelled vehicles has not been precisely established. It is believed that the Koksans are organized into 3 battery divisions with 4 guns in a battery. The number of personnel in a division is estimated at 150-190 men. In addition to a dozen guns, it has about 20 vehicles. If these analysts' calculations are correct, the Koksanov division has limited autonomy. The available fleet of vehicles is not capable of providing transportation of any significant amount of ammunition. In turn, the divisions are organized into regiments or brigades of 36 SAU each. To the best of our knowledge, the KPA's tactics involve the massive use of heavy artillery. In particular, during the exercises held on March 25, 2016, in the presence of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, about 100 M1978 and M1989 self-propelled guns, which took up positions on the seashore near Wonsan Airport, fired at the island of Hwangto-do. However, there is a reasonable question. Is the concentration of such a large mass of artillery in a small area is not just a usual firing range show? After all, in the conditions of real combat operations, self-propelled vehicles crowded into positions can easily be hit by aviation or counter-battery fire. In the Middle East, Koksan's fame came from exports. After the outbreak of the Iran-Iraq War, the DPRK became one of the main suppliers of weapons to Iran. The weapons supplied there were mainly Soviet and Chinese-designed weapons cloned in the DPRK. Several dozen original M1978 self-propelled vehicles, delivered to Iran by early 1987, stood out against the general background. Their combat debut took place in January 1987 during Operation Kerbela 5 near Basra. Koksans were used for massive artillery raids, including the use of active jet shells at full range. As is well known, the operation, designed to ensure Iran's victory, ended in failure. Iraqi troops took numerous trophies, including a number of Koksans. There is even information about 30 captured SAU of this type. The surviving Khoksans are still in service with the Iranian army. A very interesting page in the history of the self-propelled vehicle is the episode with the Iraqi Khoksan. Inspired by the trophies, the Iraqis tried to create a similar artillery system. The limited industrial base of the country did not allow copying the gun, so the Iraqis took an off-the-shelf solution, the 180mm S-23 gun. This Soviet-made gun had a 47 caliber barrel and had a range of 30 kilometers with conventional fragmentation projectiles and 44 kilometers with active jet projectiles. The Iraqis used an East German-made BLG-60 tank bridge carrier as the chassis. The open gun mount, hydraulically driven coulters, and other details of the Iraqi Khoksan were largely identical to the North Korean original. Apparently, the gun was made in a single copy, which was captured by U.S. forces in the city of Al-Anbar in 2003. The Khoksan self-propelled artillery unit, created in the 1970s, was the first example of North Korean strategic weapons, a kind of long arm of the DPRK's military and political leadership. Before the appearance of missile weapons, these weapons were the only means capable of hitting the key centers of the Republic of Korea, the capital Seoul, and the port of Incheon, from the territory of North Korea. With the development of missile technology, the strategic value of the Khoksans has diminished. Nevertheless, these self-propelled vehicles remain an important part of the armament of the Korean People's Army. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Forget to put a like and subscribe to the channel. It's important to us. See you soon.